Welcome to another episode of the Besties Podcast. We have myself, Alter Ego, and Crystal the Connector. Oh, Crystal, where's your name? It's not popping up for it.
I don't know.
Maybe because I have the banners up. Well, you know who we are already. We are back with another awesome episode. Today we're going to be talking about how to stay afloat, how to make sales during the pandemic. A lot of people have lost jobs, and a lot of people are struggling with their businesses. So we just want to give you guys some tips and introduce you to our awesome guest. We do have a fundraiser going on. You can donate to the fundraiser by going to bestiesinbiz.com. We're selling popcorn because we're trying to raise money to start a youth program for children with intellectual disabilities. We want to give them job skills and maybe entrepreneur skills so that they can be successful in life when they become adults. So you can donate by ordering popcorn, or you can just give a love offering by hitting the PayPal donation link on the website as well. And so Crystal is going to introduce our special guest.
Hello, everyone. So Miss Monet, hope I'm saying that correctly, has 30 years helping businesses succeed. She's helping owners move from fear and confusion to clarity and confidence about making strategic business and financial decisions. She is passionate about helping women overcome their business challenges with inspiration, love, support, and guidance, as well as tools, tips, resources, and training. She wants to help them reduce or eliminate unnecessary pitfalls while also understanding how to identify and prepare for future challenges. She does live business question and answers, Q&A, as we like to call it, on IG, Facebook, and Clubhouse. Welcome, Miss Monet.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Excited.
So glad to have you. Clubhouse is good for something because we met on Clubhouse.
Yes, we did.
We connected through a shared experience, and I'm glad to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So again, I'm just going to talk about the fundraiser again. Make sure you guys go and donate to our fundraiser. Besties is a nonprofit, and we are trying to do the best we can and make a mark in the community as best we can. So we're going to start with an icebreaker. I'm going to give you two choices, and you have to pick one. So they're going to be rapid fire questions. Ready? I know Crystal's probably tired of this, but you got to go again. Sometimes we have like 3 and 4 guests, but it's just us today on this Sunday. All right, ready? Ariel or Jasmine?
Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
Oh, cat.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Coffee.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Cake.
Invisibility or super strength?
Invisible.
Super strength.
Laundry or dishes?
Dishes.
Again with the domestic. Come on. I don't want to do none of it. I want to maid.
All right, laundry, dishes, or none of it?
None of it.
Would you rather be the passenger or the driver?
Driver.
Would you rather ask permission or for forgiveness?
Forgiveness.
Money or free time?
Free time.
Paper or plastic?
Paper.
Godfather or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Okay.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Okay. All right. So now that we've got that out the way, we've loosened up a little bit. We did read your bio, so we do want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us why you started your business.
Oh my gosh, yes. So, I feel like everybody really wants to help, or a lot of people, not everybody. A lot of people want to help people some way or another. But God gives us all strengths, and sometimes we listen and sometimes we don't. But I started out, I'll give you the super brief 30-second version, is that I wanted to change the world. And I did a lot of work overseas in developing countries in sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia and Eastern European bloc. And fast forward, I help small businesses because they're really the key, in my personal opinion, to our communities, our growth, are really getting down to our grassroots of what makes our country so great, And yeah, who doesn't want to make money? But really being part of a community and helping each other is what's going to make us grow, not only on a community level, but on a on a nationwide level. And I know that's getting a little deep, but my passion is with helping people. You don't know what you don't know, and it's scary. And we don't have the rich uncles and the wealthy parents, all of us, that can really make a difference in our life. And I've had many failed businesses trying to figure this out, and I've, as they say, gone through the school of hard knocks. But now that 30 years later, I want to make sure as much as I can to help other people's not have to go through the unnecessary pitfalls. There's always going to be challenges, but where can you minimize that or even eliminate or foresee challenges that are easy to identify and grow past them?
One of our viewers said that small businesses are extremely essential. And your mission is kind of aligned with our mission. We're basically about community, group economics, collective work. We're just trying to just gather a community of business owners who want to help each other grow. Because like you said, small businesses are super essential. So we do want to just ask a little bit of questions about you. Do you have any children? Do you come from a entrepreneur background, or are you the only one in your family?
So I have a 21-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old boy. So I call them, I always tell people I have 2 firstborn children. And my immediate family are definitely not entrepreneurs, but a few generations back, they owned a lot of businesses, although I did not get the luxury of learning from them. I was going to say something else, but anyway, I literally learned everything the hard way. So learned sales, marketing, how to build a business. Okay. So really super quickly, I thought my very first business, I thought having a business card meant I was in business. That's how naive I was, when I was 19, 20 years old.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people still think that, believe it or not. So what did you want to be when you grew up, though? Like, was this a new passion that you found, like, as you got older? Or were you younger? Did you want to grow up be like a lawyer, a doctor, like most kids did?
Yeah, not to put anybody in an uncomfortable situation, but my mom was bipolar. And so I was homeless at 16 when she abandoned me.
Wow.
And I finished high school and started college and paid for college all at the age of 16. So I had to learn really the hard way, from the beginning. That because I did not want to, I knew that I wanted more, and I knew there was a way I would get it. I just didn't know what that looked like.
Mm-hmm.
So I went into business before realizing that I was going into business. I just wanted to help people. I'm like, look, in the back of my mind is like, look, I need money and I need to support myself. And the external communication was, hey, how can I help you? What do you need? I can do it.
Right.
So I didn't even realize there was a word really for it at that time.
Mm-hmm. So did you have anybody that like you looked to for inspiration, like a glimmer of hope in the midst of all that was going on?
No, not really. I think that the biggest thing that kept me, quite honestly, alive, it was my faith in God, because I thought, you know what, God's not going to forsake me. Mm-hmm. There's got to be, one way or another, I'm going to be fine. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I know that I'm protected and I know that I'm safe, and I'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where did you grow up at? Where are you from?
Oakland, California.
Okay.
So, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. So, and not to say anything more, but there are quite the challenges in that area.
Okay. And so what would you say? I know you said you had a lot of businesses and some of them failed. What was your biggest failure and what lesson did you learn from it?
Oh gosh. As a business owner, you almost fail regularly, and some days more than others, because it's you try to figure things out. But my biggest failure as far as what I didn't do was just traditional sales. I'm super introverted, although you can't tell right now, but I have social anxiety. I'm ADD, have learning dyslexia. I mean, you name it, I have challenges. And so for me to go out and to actively say, I am a business, I can help you, let me try, was super hard for me. And so how do you grow a business when you don't like talking to people? Which sounds silly, but it's so true. And so I really, really did a lot of digging deep. I mean, thousands of dollars in some cases, hundreds of hours to really find the salesman in me is what I tell people. Because I heard this example, which I really think is powerful, which is if you open a restaurant and what's the first thing you do? You tell people, I have a restaurant, come visit. And that seems so natural and normal. But if you open a different kind of business, a lot of people don't tell that they are in business. Mm-hmm. And that people just don't I don't want to say understand, but for some reason a restaurant is okay to advertise. And if mm-hmm. it's not a restaurant, people get afraid. I mean, me being one of them. Mm-hmm. But sales, learning to find the salesman in me was a very important and big failure for many years, actually. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can relate because I'm super introverted too. Crystal says she's an introvert, but the jury is still out on that. It takes a lot for me to do the podcast and to show up, but I do it because I want to help people. So the mission is greater than my fear, so I do it anyway.
Absolutely.
Crystal is like a whole,
and that's exactly what
I think. Let me just interject if I may. I would like to say that my military training, there is a saying that we learned in the service, for those who are in the service, and when I was in the service, is you adapt and overcome. Mm-hmm. So I do not agree with people when they say I'm an extrovert, because people are very draining to me. However, I know to get what I need from people, because I am in the industry of service and serving, I have to meet people where they are.
Absolutely.
I have to adapt to where I am at. And a lot of times, 99.9% of the time, you have to be an extrovert at some point to get people to either do what you want, say what you want, give you what you want to achieve a goal. I am your classic introvert. If I could be on a mountain in a cabin away from the rest of the world by myself, I am in heaven. I can be in this house with the kids as long as they stay out of my room. I'm okay. I do not need, and some people say you do, but I beg to differ. I do not need human interaction to be happy.
You adapt and overcome. I like that.
Yeah, it's adapting and overcome. So I know that for me, and people like to say that my personality is very bold, very loud, and I get along with everyone because I know that type of personality gets people to do certain things, react a certain way, and give them what they want. And I can be in a room and not say anything and still have a good time.
And that's a good skill.
I pull. It's hard. You know what? It's hard for introverts now, and not in the sense when it comes to this peopling, because introverts, and you ladies can agree with me because we're all innies together. We can go into a room and be totally silent, and we'll gauge the room as far as to who we're going to talk to, who we're going to interact with, and who we're not. But because now the world is the way it is, we're all online. You really can't gauge anyone. You got to get, even on the Zoom, you're like, I don't want to turn my camera on because these people look like they'll drain. They're like a succubus, or they're too loud. They're too, you can't really get in. Like, see, everyone is, y'all met on Clubhouse. I'm not on Clubhouse because, I'm a droid and I like it that way. But I feel like when I'm hearing the stories from Clubhouse, I would not like it because everyone's talking, and I don't do a whole lot of talking in my it's like noise to my ears because I can't gauge if it's a meaningful.
I think the best way to do it, I think for me as an introvert, the way to do it is to pop in and out. Like I can't sit on there for 8 hours. Like I'll pop in the room if the room is relevant to something I have a question about. I'll pop in, ask my question, get my answer, and I'm gone. We have a comment. Most people are afraid of rejection, but there is power in the word no, and it should push you forward. And that's absolutely true. So I wanted to ask you, what's one of the best resources that's helped you in your business?
In general, just reading, right? Finding resources, because you get, my thing is a business consultant, like any other industry on the face of the planet, there's good ones and bad ones. There's good attorneys, bad attorneys. There's good accountants, bad accountants, and the same with consultants. So I don't want to waste my money, and I don't want to waste my time. And books are cheap. You may not understand everything, but at least you'll get an idea of what is important, so that if you do hire a consultant, you at least know the basics, right? So not to let people pull the wool over your eyes. And I have so many examples that I've heard of that over the 30 years. But books are my favorite tools. And then, of course, asking people. But that's always tricky, because you don't want to ask somebody who doesn't own a business on how to run a business, right? So being strategic of who you ask is really important, which is one of the good things I like. I'm not that I'm condoning Clubhouse, but in the sense of being able to sometimes you get really good answers from, verbal interaction with people, but you have to know when they're skewing the information to benefit themselves. That's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, we all, again, I'm a consultant, so I want to make money too, but I'm not ever going to steer somebody specifically only to me. That's where I make the differences. Hey, this is what you need. These are the places you can go. And especially with startup companies, I know you didn't ask me this question, but especially with startup companies, I send everybody to SBA, because they have free mentoring with experts, right? Don't waste your money on me. Get some really good information for free first.
Lana said, oftentimes people who are introverted are very observant, insightful, and creative. So I did want to shout out her comment. So let's just talk a little bit about the topic at hand. We just wanted to give some tips, like what are some tips that people can use to make sure they're still making sales? Like how, a lot of people are struggling. They're not getting any sales on their website.
Yes.
They're not selling anything. They can't find customers. How do you suggest?
Oh gosh. Ton of things, and probably too much to even talk about here, but I'll give you some really good. I'm big on no cost or very low cost options. Like one is if you have a storefront or you have some kind of e-commerce. This sounds really bizarre, but it's almost like being a personal shopper. So you can do your lives and literally talk about your products so that they can see them, because the one thing you want people want to say yes, right? But people want to say yes to something they're interested in. So you can take your camera and then do a live of your products or your store or sections, or do a section a day, or jewelry today and makeup tomorrow, or whatever. But get people involved and let them see what you have, because that's half the battle, right? And if you have a service, you can't do that specifically, but one good way with service companies is to find companies that complement yours. Like, so I'm a business consultant. So I do great work with attorneys, with CPAs, and with marketers, specifically marketers, actually. And so, hey, let's build a team where, hey, I can't do the marketing myself, or, well, not on the level that everybody else does, but I can direct you to somebody who I know and I trust, and I think that they're reasonably priced. And so that's obviously not bringing business to you, but the reciprocation is where you learn money, where they're like, when they'll start listening to how they can start referring people to your business as well. And then the other thing is, if you have a customer base, talk to them, either talk to them on the phone, literally, or send them surveys, or post on your social media questions. Like, what do you love about our product or service, or how did I make you feel with our customers? How did our customer service make you feel? Like, get that engagement and ask them, because people, I mean, I don't know what you guys have experienced already, but if you ask them what you like and dislike, they'll tell you, right? And that's good though, because, listening to what people don't like tells you where you need to improve your company and have a better product offering, or have better customer service, or better shipping, or whatever. Because once you get better at whatever it is something complains about, your sales will go up. So,
and people like to talk about themselves. So if you get them to any question where they get to talk about themselves or show their expertise, you'll get a lot of engagement that way.
absolutely.
Also, I like what you said about, collaborating with businesses that are similar. That's what we're trying to promote within our group. If Crystal has a skincare company. So if you have a spa, why can't her products go in your spa? You guys
Absolutely.
together. That's what we're trying to promote back to when we talked about group economics and collective work. That's how it works. If you refer someone to me, I refer someone to you, we keep everything going. We ensure that we all have successful businesses. It's not just about one, it's about everybody as a whole. So those are some really good tips. Any other tips you want to give for our
Oh gosh, so many. Sometimes it just depends on how long you've been in business. So, if you're a startup, you really need to focus on getting as much money in as you can. And as you guys are marketers, social media is really important. Getting the word out there is important. Telling your why is important. Like, I know an artist who, before I knew her why, I was like, yeah, those paintings are pretty cool. I'm not going to go out of my way to buy them, but I really like them. And then I heard her story, that she was a recovering drug addict, and this was her therapy. And she writes her feelings on a canvas, all the difficulties she's having for the day, or now she has children, and then she literally paints over it in a way where it's like a healing process. And so her paintings were so much more interesting and valuable that I actually bought several of them. And so just letting people into your life, which I know you guys know better than I do, but that is so important for a startup. It's important all the time, but especially when you're a startup. And then when you get into the 2 to 5 year range of owning a business, it's super important to start finding ways to streamline your processes, have a workflow system, because that creates efficiencies, which creates more time in your day, which gives you either more time to get more business or to hire somebody. So just in super overview, those two things are really important.
Those were some great tips. Crystal, did you have any questions? I have like a few more before we go.
So when they're in business, when you're how should their paperwork be in order? Because I feel like when I'm I don't want to say talking to people, or talking to when I'm having a conversation with our business owners, and running the business is part of the business, and it's part of what you do, your product or your service. A lot of when it comes time for, because I've heard people say this, that you're not in business until you file taxes on your business. And when when it comes to Uncle Sam getting his money, their paperwork is not in order, because they do not know. They're either keeping everything, so they're coming to you with like a stack of here's everything, right, and they store everything, or they're coming to you with just nothing, here's my business license, here's my LLC, whatever I need, and you're like, okay, so how would you advise them to, what would you tell them to, how to keep their paperwork, what to keep it in, what to bring, what's important, what's not important, because we know that definitely not all pieces of paper.
Absolutely. Yep. So there's a couple of answers to that, all sort of related, but one of them is, from the super broad standpoint, I'd always suggest saving more than less, just because you don't know. Like, if you're at that I don't know stage, save everything. But as far as getting organized for taxes specifically, one really good way is to get one of those accordion, or you don't have to get an accordion file system. You can just use, manila envelopes, but put them in the categories like these are my auto receipts, these are my meals, this is the continuing education, or the book, and books. Don't forget books. Any of those books that you business owners buy to help you learn more about how to run a business, those are also tax deductible. But put it on an Excel sheet or a Word doc. If you don't like Excel, because some people are pretty afraid of Excel, it doesn't matter. As long as it's categorized somehow so that when you do the bookkeeping or the taxes at the end of the year, they're at least somewhat organized, right? Mm-hmm. I don't usually recommend, on a very, very startup company, I don't usually recommend QuickBooks, because then people stress out about how do you use it? How do you set it up? Am I doing it right? If you want to, it's great. If you don't want to, don't feel obligated to use it. You can consider Excel. It's not that big of a deal in the first 2 years usually, but keep more than throw away. Categorize if you can, and document it somehow in Word or Excel, as far as the date, the vendor, who you paid, how much you paid, and it doesn't even have to be right or wrong, just a category that you think it might go into. If books, if you don't know where books go, then use books. If it's, classes, put classes. The categorization will be taken care of your tax software or your accountant.
Okay. Great question. When should they be getting an accountant? Because I've been in a couple, I've been through a couple of events, workshops where business owners who either want to start their business, who want to rebrand their business, who want to get up to date, because businesses are always changing, especially now in the times that we're in, as far as the pandemic, working from home, business from home, and things like that. And they're like, oh my God, do I need an accountant? I don't feel like I need an accountant, because I'm not making that much. But we had one individual who last year, a perfect example, last year she barely made $5,000 in her business. That was last year. The pandemic, on Black Friday, she made $100,000. So she was like, right. So she was like,
that's pretty awesome.
Right. And we were like, what?
I love it.
Right. So she's like, she's scared to get an accountant, but she knows she needs an accountant, because one, she's never had that much money. She never had to do that much, and she's never made that much. So at what point does a business need an accountant?
Technically, accountant, in my opinion, and I say that because that's where I started my life, as an accountant. People often confuse tax preparation with a business consultant, and a lot of people think that CPAs and accountants are business consultants, and they're not. Very few CPAs are qualified even to talk about running a business. So even though you didn't really ask me that, but you don't actually need an accountant if you're organized and the basics of what you need to accomplish with a tax return. But that leads me into something else, which is the reason you have there's two reasons you need, well, three reasons you need financial statements. One, you want to know what your profit and loss is, right? Two, you got to do taxes. That is the super basic reason. That's typically what people think they need financial statements and accountants for. But really, the reason that the more important thing about financial statements is that you use it as a management tool, month to month, quarter by quarter. And that's why financial statements are more important, excluding taxes. And so an accountant cannot usually do that for you. And that's where the business consultant comes in. So to go back to the accounting question specifically, you don't ever really need an accountant, as long as you're organized and and you're comfortable answering questions on TurboTax. I'll give you TurboTax any day of the year over hiring me to do your taxes. But if you want to go past the tax return, that's when.
Okay.
I don't know if that was clear or not, but
Yeah.
if you want help with organizing, you could hire not an accountant, but hire a bookkeeper. If you want help with taxes because you're afraid to do it yourself and you're afraid Uncle Sam's going to start knocking on your door, you can hire an accountant. But if you're confident and comfortable and organized, you don't need one.
If you had a billboard about your life, what would it say?
Oh, it would say she overcame. That would be the short version.
Right.
I just, we're all blessings to people if we embrace the craziness that's happened. And I really believe that by sharing our stories and becoming a community and trying to do all that we can, we're all just amazing. We can all make such a big difference. And that would, if one business consultant that I had said, if you died and you wrote your own eulogy, what would you want it to say? And mine really comes down to, she really cared about people and wanted to make a difference in the world.
So tell us about what the future holds for you. What do you plans you have over the next 5 years for your business, for yourself?
Oh, super easy. I always have goals. So I'm going to stay a business consultant, but I've launched several courses for business or for small businesses. But that's just kind of like the next little level for the business consulting. But it's funny about your fundraiser, because this year in 2021, I decided to launch a youth entrepreneur camp that it teaches about life skills and entrepreneurship and leadership, not all in the same camp probably, but that's what I want to do, because I have a deep soft spot for children, in the sense of they're not only are there our leaders, but they're so disregarded oftentimes because they're children. They're like, oh, well, they're just 7, or oh, they're just 12, or oh, they're just whatever, right? And so, but they have so much value, not only to life and our future, but if we don't treat that like they're special, and give them the tools, the self-esteem tools, the confidence tools, like, of course we're setting them up for failure. Why would we want to deliberately set our children up for failure, right? I mean, not that we think that, but you don't think about that is a lot of, I think, really a drawback in our life. And so that's going to be my 2021 big plan, is to do a lot more youth engagement. And I'm actually going to be doing some youth speaking tours this year at schools and communities. So I'm really super excited about that.
You have to make sure you come visit us when we get our program up.
Absolutely, without a question.
So do you want to tell us about the courses you offer and how they can sign up for your classes?
Oh, yeah. So usually I recommend the easiest way is to schedule a strategy session, only because that way I love to know who I work with. And so, sometimes depending on where they are, maybe the course isn't necessarily where they want to be. Maybe they just need a little bit of guidance, and that's fine. My course is to really build, wherever it is, we can build it. And that particular site is called Roadmap for Strategic Growth. And it's just www.roadmap for strategic growth. But on that page, you can also just schedule a strategy session if you're not sure or not clear or have questions or don't have the money and would like a little bit of guidance and support. I'm more than happy to do that for you, because again, as a community, we cannot make a difference unless we go in and we help people.
Lana says, someone somewhere is depending on you to do what God has called you to do. Keep pushing, CEOs. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so true.
And so I'm so glad that I met you. I'm looking forward to working with you in the future with the youth and some other things that we have going on. Again, make sure you check her out. You said, what is it? Roadmap to strategic growth.
For
Yes.
strategic growth.
For strategic
I know it's really
growth.
long. Sorry about that.
I'll make sure I update it when we share it out. To make sure you go check her out, sign up for a strategy call, check out her courses. Don't forget about our fundraiser, bestiesinbiz.com, so we can get our youth program off the ground. And thank you so much for joining us. Have a
Yes,
good
thank
Thank
you.
you
weekend.
so
Hope everyone has an amazing and blessed day.
Thank
much.
you.
It's snowing.